what is the maximum capacity of human beings that can live on Earth and we can coexist and everything is sustainable without it being, insanity? What's the number?
Nobody has a clue.
Well, I think we do have a clue.
No, we don't. But how do you make a formula for that?
But how do you, if that's your world, it's to me, okay, let's do basic math formula. What do you mean, how do we have a clue? The way I would do it, I would say, okay, where can't man live? Okay, so maybe let's just say percentage of mountains, certain struggle. Like you can't live in Mount Everest, you can't take those mountains. How many square feet is that? Okay, how many square miles is that? Let's take this out. Okay, the world has how many total square miles? Here's how many square miles we have. Fantastic. How much of it is water? Take that out. How much of it is this? Take that out. Okay, so we're really living with this many square miles. And then what is a too congested? Is New York a level of congestion healthy? No. What is a healthy level of congestion? How about we do LA? LA is congested, 4 or 5 is pretty bad, but New York is horrible. Can we do every city like New York? No. Okay, but give me that formula anyways, that if every city in the world looked like New York City, we can handle 22 billion people. I don't know, but I know we can figure out that mathematical formula. So then what that does to me is the following. Here's what I do. Again, purely thinking like an analytics guy that's a financial guy. Can you zoom into this real quick for me? Zoom in so the rest of the people watching this as well can see it. Okay, so this go a little bit more so we can see it. Okay, this is world population by year. Go down so they can see what the top. No, the other way, where the top says what it is. Okay, worldometer, world population by year. 2020, we had around 7.794 billion people. Okay, go down to when it was 3.7 billion. Okay, right. So 3.7 billion was 1971, which is exactly 50 years ago, was 3.7 billion. Go down to see when it was 1.9 billion. Okay, stop. 1927. What is the difference between 1927 and 1971? That's what, 44 years? That's exactly 44 years. So watch this. It doubled in 44 years, then it doubled in 50 years. So it dropped around 10%, 15% it dropped. Okay, go down, see from 1.9 billion when it was a billion. Okay, 1.9, okay. So it was a billion when? 1804 to 1927 is what? Holy shit, that's 123 years. Okay, so it's crazy. It took a long time to double there. Between $1.5 billion and $500 million was 1,600. So that took how many years? 196 years. 250 billion is what? 900. That's how many years? 700 years. Keep going lower, keep going lower, keep going lower. So 900, if you go to, you get the idea what I'm doing with the math here. At 5,000 BC, before Christ, was 5 million people. So we went in the last 7,000 years from 5 million people to 8 billion people. If I double that, here's what it looks like. Let's double it. Let's play rule of 72. How many years is that? 7,000 years? 7,000 years. So let's double it. So 5 million goes what? 10 million, 20 million, 40 million, 80 million. 163, 26, 40, 1.28 billion, 2.56 billion, 5.12 billion, 10 billion. That's 11 doubles, okay? 10 doubles is what we're looking at. It took 10 doubles only to go from 5 million people to 8 billion people in 7,000 years, okay? That to me, I sit there and I say the following. I say Al Gore's full of shit. I say AOC is definitely full of shit. The end of the world is in 12 years, full of shit. But guess what? It is happening eventually if we don't do something about it.
The end of the world?
Not the end of the world.
Or the end of human population growth?
The end of the capacity, what our capacity will be. So then we can think like Dr. Evil.
I can tell you one thing that explains why there went from 4 billion to 8 billion, for example.
Why?
It's called the Haber-Bosch process. It won 2 Nobel Prizes in the early 1900s. It was a formula, a technological process involving very high heat and very high pressure, an extremely complicated process, which was able to combine nitrogen from the atmosphere with natural gas to make ammonia. That ammonia is the basis of all the nitrogen fertilizer being used in the world's agriculture today. It results in at least a doubling of crop production. And that is why we see this news today about Sri Lanka banning nitrogen fertilizer and Netherlands now basically banning much of the nitrogen fertilizer. And this is the biggest threat we have right now to an immediate starvation situation in the world. Food shortage. You hear it said.
That's where I'm going.
The odd time.
Yeah.
But the reason it's self-inflicted, this food shortage. Nitrogen, the air has 70% of the air is nitrogen. We could take nitrogen out of the air for the next million years and make fertilizer because it all goes back into the air again eventually. Same with the carbon dioxide. We talk about ourselves emitting all this carbon dioxide. What are we emitting it from? Oh, fossil fuels. Oh, where did they come from? They came from life absorbing carbon from the atmosphere as carbon dioxide and being deposited in sediments called oil, gas, and coal. So when we put CO2 in the atmosphere, we're just putting it back where it came from in the first place. That's why CO2 was so much higher in the atmosphere in past millennia. Like it's gone from 2,500 ppm to 180 ppm 20,000 years ago in 150 million years. That's a long time, but it's been a steady downward trend of CO2 in the global atmosphere for 500 million years. There's been a couple of dips and ups and downs, but basically it's a downward trend. And that's because the carbon has been taken from the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, which is the only way life can get carbon. It's the only source of carbon for life, and all life is carbon-based. That's why they call it the chemistry of carbon organic chemistry, and the chemistry of all other elements inorganic chemistry. So what we've got here is a situation where people just don't understand that there is no historical relationship between the level of CO2 in the atmosphere and the temperature of the Earth.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.